diplomacy. We have to see if, in fact, they are serious about their willingness to abide by international norms.
I also believe that if diplomacy is to work, those pressures must be kept in place. And I think they should not be lessened until there's verifiable success.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu will speak at the United Nations tomorrow. He met with President Obama, as you saw today, saying that he hopes that the U.S. is not falling for what he called Iran's smiley campaign. We're back with our panel. What about this meeting and the concerns of the Israelis? Charles.
Well, as a result of this new rapprochement, the beginning of these negotiations, the Israelis are completely isolated in the world. They are the only ones who are saying openly, you can't trust the Iranians, and they're essentially saying, although they won't say it openly, that this cannot succeed because we know that the Iranians are deceiving the world. The fact that the foreign minister has been saying, and the president has been saying of Iran, that we have never pursued nuclear weapons. We are not now. It's a bald-faced lie that everyone knows, but they persist in saying again and again. The problem is they have a long history. Rouhani, the president, was the negotiator in 2003 for Iran on nuclear weapons with the Europeans. He boasted afterwards that by keeping things calm, by negotiating and smiling, they were able to complete a nuclear facility in Isfahan. These are people who have such contempt for the U.S. and the West that they actually say what their strategy is. Spin the West and spin the uranium. The Israelis are worried that they have no military option as long as negotiations are happening, and they're going to happen for a long time.
Speaking of the Iranian foreign minister, here's what he said this weekend on ABC.
We're not seeking nuclear weapons, so we're not 6 months, 6 years, 60 years away from nuclear weapons. We do not want nuclear weapons. We believe nuclear weapons are detrimental to our security. We believe those who have the illusion that nuclear weapons provide them with security are badly mistaken. We need to have a region and a world free from nuclear weapons.
And like Charles, Senator Lindsey Graham tweeted after that appearance, quote, the Iranian foreign minister flat out lied on This Week when he claimed the Iranians have never been pursuing a nuclear weapon. What are we to make of all this, Juan?
Well, you know, unlike Charles, I don't think the Israelis are too isolated on this at all. I think from what I hear from the White House, people are quite aware just recently that the Iranians were hacking Navy computers. They're aware that the Iranians, you know, have a bad history when it comes to keeping their word, and that everybody is watching them thinking they're going to be suckered in this deal. So there is a high degree of need for the White House politically to prove that they are being vigilant against any deal. Now, Secretary of State Kerry is to meet with their foreign minister Zarif in Geneva in mid-October, and the timeline that the Iranians are talking about is trying to put some kind of deal in place within 3 to 6 months, which is an extremely accelerated time place. So I think it's going to be very clear if they're serious or not pretty quickly.
Yeah, in the middle of all this charm offensive, Bill, the Iranian regime apparently sent a vitriolic 20-page letter to the IAEA challenging their right to hold Iran's nuclear activities, to monitor them, and challenging this report that they had August 28th.
Well, the International Energy Agency has, over the years, really for more than a decade, discovered clandestine Iranian nuclear programs, has proven to the world's satisfaction, to the UN Security Council's satisfaction, to Russian and Chinese satisfaction over the years, that the Iranians were lying and cheating. So that's why they're trying to discredit, I suppose, the IAEA. The problem with this is the president sounds reasonable. Even if you're a hawk like me, he sounds sort of reasonable at first when he says, well, we should test diplomacy. Well, no one's who's against testing diplomacy. But here's the problem. The clock is ticking. If the talking goes on too long, Iran gets to nuclear capability. So it's not a neutral situation where, okay, we'll take a year, we'll test it, and then we'll decide what to do. The Iranians are close. That's one reason they're launching this charm offensive. And that's why Israel is so, I think, under the gun. It's going to have to make a serious decision.
Okay.